asking me to be rational. That is something I know I cannot do.
Darth Vader. Just say the name and you know exactly who we're talking about. He's the most feared villain in the galaxy, a walking symbol of absolute power and darkness, a mechanized monster whose name is still spoken in whispers. But that monster was once a boy, a hero even, an innocent kid with a smile who dreamed of freeing the slaves and becoming a Jedi Knight. So what happened? How does a hero become a villain? And how does a literal chosen one become a monster? We think we know the story. We point to the fires, to Emperor Palpatine's manipulation, and to the tragic duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi. But the truth is way more complicated. The story of how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader isn't about a hero who simply fell. It's the tragedy of a hero who took no accountability and made a series of terrible choices, actively turning his back on the very people trying to guide him. Attack of the Clones gets a lot of flack for its clunky dialogue, overused CGI, and awkward romance. But here's where the Star Wars saga hides its most important truth, that the real architect of Darth Vader wasn't the Empire or the Jedi Order, it was Anakin himself. Through his refusal to listen, his inconsistency of hiding secrets, and his choice to follow a forbidden path that led directly to the dark side.
If Master Obi-Wan caught me doing this, he'd be very grumpy.
This is the story of a hero who had every chance to succeed but chose failure. You know that famous Yoda line.
Fear is the path to the dark side.
And that wasn't just a slogan, it was a direct and accurate warning about Anakin. Instead of embracing the Jedi's help to master these feelings, Anakin resisted. The Order's code was built on detachment from personal emotions.
Are you allowed to love? Thought that was forbidden for a Jedi.
We could keep it a secret.
We'd be living a lie.
A rule designed to prevent the very jealousy and the fear that led to the dark side. For a child raised in the Order from infancy, this is the path, or
This is the way.
but for Anakin, who had to leave his mother behind, this was a rule he refused to accept. He traded one life for another, but never really fully committed to the path he'd chosen. He saw the Jedi not as mentors, but as new masters, and this chip on his shoulder set the stage for his defiance. Now let's fast forward 10 years to Attack of the Clones, and the cracks are starting to show. Anakin is powerful, but he's also arrogant and deeply insecure. His unresolved attachments come back in the form of nightmares. He sees his mother Shmi suffering. These are Force visions, a test of his discipline and trust in the Jedi way. He goes to Master Obi-Wan, who follows the Jedi teacher and advises him to calm his mind in recent matters. He goes to Padme confessing his fear, but the Jedi rule is clear. Acting on personal attachment can lead to disaster. So, what does he do? He makes a choice. In his first great act of defiance, he abandons his post.
I know I'm disobeying my mandate to protect you, Senator.
His direct orders to protect Padme. So, he races off to Tatooine. Why is this so important? Because it shows the core conflict he creates for himself. When forced to choose between a Jedi's discipline code and his own emotional impulses, Anakin will always choose his own feelings. He puts himself first, and that's not the way of the Jedi. Running off to Tatooine wasn't just insubordination, it was a complete rejection of the Jedi's wisdom. It was a conscious decision to place his own needs above his sworn duty. What happens next is the single most important moment in his transformation. His mom is brutalized and tortured by the Tusken Raiders, and she dies in his arms. Now, a lot of people will point to this and say, well, that's fair, but why was she captured by Tusken Raiders? You see, that's a question that nobody asked. Shmi and her family were moisture farmers, and they didn't really get along with the Tuskens. And well, you may ask yourself why? Why didn't they get along? Well, because the farmers basically were colonizers, okay? The Tuskens were there long before they got there. That was their land, and the moisture farmers didn't respect them or their sacred land. And so, like a lot of cultures do, if you disrespect them, they're going to make an example out of you. And it just so happens that Shmi crossed the line. So that's why she was captured. Anyways, let's get back to Anakin. The fear that he feels instantly boils over into a conscious choice: revenge. In an uncontrollable fury, he gives in to his hatred and slaughters the entire Tusken village. He confesses to Padme, which is one of the most chilling scenes in the whole saga.
I killed them. I killed them all. And not just the men, but the women and the children too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
This is not a soldier taking out a threat. This is Anakin giving himself over to the dark side for the first time. He commits genocide. Fueled by rage, he chooses not to control, completely shatters his own morality. This is the moment Darth Vader is truly born. Not the man in the suit, but the man with the capacity for that level of monstrosity. The boy who wanted to free slaves now massacres entire communities out of grief and rage. Yeah, some victim. Chosen one? I think not. So, what's the Jedi's response? Nothing. You know why? Because Anakin chooses to hide his dark deed. He confesses to Padme, but he keeps his masters in the dark. The Jedi, consumed by the state of the Clone Wars, don't intervene because they are never given a chance. Anakin chose secrecy, and in that secrecy, the darkness grew. The fire that started at that camp now needs more fuel, and it finds it in Padme. So let's ask a question. If his attachment to his mother led to a mass murder, what do you think his forbidden love for Padme would lead to? Anakin is a young man with zero healthy emotional outlets because he rejected the Jedi's guidance. His feelings for Padme aren't just love, they're desperate possessive attachment. Because he chose to believe he failed his mother, he now ties his entire self-worth to controlling Padme's fate. He tells her,
I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me.
That's the language of obsession. When they secretly marry at the end of the film, it isn't just a romantic moment. It's the final, irreversible act of a betrayal against the Jedi Order. He is now consciously living a complete lie, a double life, trapped between his duty and his forbidden attachment, a secret that Palpatine will later use to tear him apart. Through all of this, Anakin is a whirlwind of reckless arrogance. He's constantly defying Obi-Wan, charging headfirst into danger, and foolishly thinking that he can take on Count Dooku all by himself. But he found out real quick. You know the old saying, fuck around and find out. This isn't just youthful confidence, it's a desperate need to prove his own power because he refuses to listen to anyone else. He has to be the best, the strongest, the chosen one, because his pride won't accept anything less. And that's why he got humbled. He got broken. Dooku defeats him easily, easy work, and cuts off his arm. The physical injury is a power symbol of his choices. He's literally being torn apart by his own arrogance and refusal to follow guidance. The loss of his arm is the price he pays for his defiance, a permanent reminder of his failure to listen. This is the exact opposite of Master Yoda's duel Count Dooku, just moments later, the best lightsaber user in the entire galaxy. Dripping with so much aura, Yoda is a storm of precise and focused power. He represents the very ideal Anakin has actively rejected, mastery through discipline, not rage. The Jedi Order, for all its supposed flaws, offer a path to wisdom and control that Anakin, lost in his own ego, just could never hope to grasp. So, Attack of the Clones isn't a story of a system failing the hero. It's a story of how a hero's own choices created a monster. The film shows us that Darth Vader wasn't forged in the lava, but Anakin's own prideful heart. His intense fear of loss, which the Jedi warned him about, became a weapon he turned on himself when he chose to ignore the teachings and hide his own life from them. His fall wasn't a single event, but it was an inevitable end to a path that he chose, a path paved by arrogance, secrecy, and defiant refusal to listen to his mentors. And maybe that was the ultimate tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. The galaxy's greatest villain was a hero who was given every tool to succeed, but chose to forge his own path to damnation. But maybe you see it differently. Is there another choice Anakin made in Attack of the Clones or the Clone Wars that you think really sealed his fate? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.